Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana. I think my microphone is just started to peak there. That's a good start, wasn't it? Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana. It's great to see you all in the chat. Thank you so much for coming in and seeing us this evening. We are here for the first time on one of our Thursday shows in the new Geeksvana live studio. So it's been a lot of fun, a little bit stressful the last few days getting everything set up. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to bringing some excellent content from the studio to you all. And I promise I won't say the word studio too many more times in tonight's show. Perhaps we should have a drinking game. Every time I say new studio, you should have a drink of something very alcoholic. Tonight, we're going to be talking about commercial drones from the point of view that the Commercial Drone Show is going to be a new monthly show with my new co-host, Emily. And what we're going to be delving into is the whole commercial side of the drone world, be that the drone industry from the point of view of guests like this evening's one, Andrew McQuillan of Crowded Space Drones, who already run successful drone companies, to get tips and find out a bit more about that side of things, all the way through to some of the innovations which are happening. We've got some fantastic guests lined up over the coming months. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this show underway and happening. Just very quickly say hi to a few people in the chat. Johnny Mac 26, good to see you, sir. One of our channel members. Doc Murdoch, also a channel member, good to see you as well, sir. Just call it the new digs. Yes, that's a good idea. I quite like that. Stevie, Capture Life Connection, hi. Andy Keast, good to see you as well. Steve Bunyan, welcome, sir. Good to see you. El Smeghead, well, our senior moderator, the Hovering Shutterbug, and Marcel Off Axis FPV Robert. Good to see you, Robert. Hope you're very well. Stephen is here, the Flyby guys, but I wonder if he's checking up on the co-host, because of course Stephen is the co-host of our other live show. So maybe he's checking up on Emily. It could be. You know, I'm not saying there's any kind of competition between the co-hosts here on Geeksvana, but he could well be checking up on someone. Drone Shots, good to see you as well. Lynn Smith, hi, great to see you. KH Drones UK, it's fantastic to see all of the regulars here, and a few new names, people like Muck and Mirrors, which Muck and Mirrors might well be the favourite username for this evening. And Mike Drennan, hi, good to see you on Fly Sky Drone. So let's get into it. Let's bring in our guest for this evening, who is this chap here, Andrew McQuillan. Hi, Andrew. How are you? Wonderful. And of course, down here we have our new co-host, Emily. Hi. Welcome to Geeksvana. We hope you enjoy it here, and we're really looking forward to getting to know you and talking all about drones, and of course teaching you all about drones as well.
Yes.
And do you know what? Do you know what? I had your audio muted. So there you go. There is the audio. It wouldn't be Geeksvana without an audio issue, and that was it. So
a little techie blip.
Yes, for about 5 seconds we'll have people saying we can't hear you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as the chat catches up.
I know I'm really looking forward to being here and very excited to learn all about drones as well, and of course meet Andrew, who I've actually been doing a lot of research on today.
Oh dear.
Yes.
And is Andrew actually worried about the fact that someone's excited to meet him?
Are you, Andrew?
It depends on what googling you have been doing.
I've been doing some digging.
I mean, there's some good results. There's some good search results there. There's some bad ones.
No, this was all the good ones. All the good.
I think that's the pages my mother's in charge of.
Yeah, possibly. I enjoyed the read.
Very good. Well, tonight we're going to use that data and use that information to find out a little bit more about starting a drone business in 2021, getting some advice and tips, and also finding out a bit more from Andrew about how he started his business and grew it to the success that it is today. As you know, Andrew, as regular viewers will know, Andrew is the founder of Crowded Space Drones, which is a public safety company and cinematography company, lots of drone use in there. And of course, they recently launched the Drone Masterclass, who is one of our main channel sponsors. So thank you for that, Andrew. If you're in the UK and looking for your A2 CFC or your GVC course or add-ons and other courses around that, there's a link in the description to dronemasterclass.co.uk where you can find out more, which is excellent.
And get a free t-shirt.
Yes, and we're still within the parameters of you can get a free t-shirt and a free ID card when you pass your course. So get there quick before those run out, which is very exciting. Really the first subject for us tonight, Andrew, to delve into was actually not necessarily starting a business, which we'll come on to in a little bit, but actually is the new rules have now been in place for a few months. Obviously, as an active drone business or as an active business that uses drones, you have been out there working still during lockdown. How have you found the new rules have impacted your business as a drone operator? Have you noticed much difference?
Um, I don't think they've impacted. Oddly, they've sort of, like, we had a phone call today from someone we've never heard of before, phoned us randomly, actually was able to find Andrew Hamilton's number directly, which is all because it's now really out on the internet.
Yeah.
And they basically phoned up and said, we trust you based on your reputation. Will you do this for us? And I think that we've got a lot of interest coming in from the people who are now confused by the new rules because there's so many shades of grey, essentially.
Yes.
So I think people recognize our brand and they trust us in relation to that because of some of the things we get up to. And yeah, no, I think it's not really that. We were not doing the bog standard, pictures of a house stuff. I think anyone in that area is potentially have an issue unless they've dropped their prices to meet the new Mini 2 pilot areas.
Yes, indeed.
But we are lucky that we are sort of our niche. 'Cause you need a niche. Our niche is in doing the complex flying in challenging environments competently and safely and relatively cost effectively.
Which of course you already need the permissions, etc., and the certifications from the CAA to beyond A2 CFC and just to GVC, etc., to be able to do that. So you haven't seen so much of an impact.
Weirdly, in the last 3 months, we've used our enhanced permissions more than ever on various things, which is odd. So yeah, it really has not impacted us because we wouldn't even with the new PDRAO 1 type permissions or the sort of old standard permissions, we really haven't used them as much. It's really been the enhanced stuff. So we've been doing lots of flying down to 5 meters with like M210s, etc. And yeah, it's we're seeing, I would say overall it's a positive in the new rules for us.
Okay, excellent. Just very quickly in the chat, TC Aerial Photography, thank you very much for becoming a member of the channel. Welcome to the Drone Club. I really do appreciate your support. And GMI, I need new glasses. I'm noticing things are a bit blurry on the screens. Is that a sign of age, Emily? Am I getting old?
Well, I don't want to say. I don't know your age, and this is my first show, so I don't want to. I'm going to say nothing. Do
you want to try and guess my age?
Do you have an abacus handy?
I don't know if I can. I'm useless with that, Sean. Now that is putting me on the spot.
You've just realised that within the first few minutes of your first show, you've just put yourself in a very awkward position.
I really have. So if anyone can help me out here, who knows Sean's age?
I mean, Sean, all I'll say is you seem a lot younger when you drink aviation gin during live streams.
Yeah, Johnny Mac 26 just said it's the gin. Can I just say? Before
the gym makes him young.
Before Andrew McQuillan came onto this channel, I was not known for drinking on live streams. And you have Fish Diaries just said 55.
55, yeah. And also apparently, have you had your vaccine? Apparently about 3 months ago, Sean.
No, but his carer has.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Thanks for joining us tonight on Geeksvana.
I know. I don't know if I'll be back.
We'll see you next week. 55.
This has now become a game of higher or lower than
It really has. Sean, someone has just said 42.
55. Yeah, but what do you think, Emily? You seem to agree with the 55.
No, I'm not agreeing with the 55. I'd have put you at about 44.
Oh, actually, that's exactly my age.
Is it?
Yes. Why are you so surprised?
No, because I'm useless at guessing people's age. Oh, look, Johnny Mac has said 39.
I mean,
Johnny Mac is a nice person. That's why.
He's a lovely person.
Yes. Emily, people do usually guess younger to be polite.
Listen, I was going to go 42, but I thought that would be too obvious because we had 42. I don't like odd numbers, so it would have to be an even. So I went 40. I know, I'm digging. I'm digging.
Keep digging till you see daylight. Isn't that the saying?
God, everyone got a gin. I need that gin.
We'll have to get a bottle sent to you for the next show.
Yes, please.
But yeah, no, I'm 44. And failsafe FPV, thank you for the 69 reference. I appreciate it. And Johnny Mac 26 says he's already on the gin, so there we go. Thank you, everybody. And also, just very quickly before it goes up too far, GMI Visuals, thank you for the £2 super chat. Can the DJI Mini 2 be used commercially, and how? We are going to be coming on to that subject, actually, because I know it's an important subject as far as what we can do with each level of the drones. It's something I'm very interested in as well, personally. Okay, so should we move back to the topic of the show?
Yes.
And he says, attempting to anyway, we won't go there.
No.
Starting a new business in 2021, Andrew. If you were not me, but anybody out there that has an interest in drones, they'd like to make money with that interest in drones. They'd like to go somewhere with it, and they have an idea or they're looking for ideas. How would you go about starting a drone focused or a drone involved business in 2021?
The niche is the important bit. So you need to have a niche. We have a sort of that niche of flying in complex areas, etc.
Yes.
If you, it's really, there's so many shades of, as I said, of different things you can do with drones. There's no one route into it. You have to sort of find what you enjoy doing with drones, and what you sort of competent at. So you don't say, if you've never done any cinematography or filming or photography before, don't really say then I want to use them for that. There's perfectly loads of other areas you can get jobs in. But I think that I think I said one of the previous shows as well, you don't have to be a drone pilot to be involved in drones.
Yes,
we're recruiting
absolutely.
for non-pilot positions. Lots of companies are recruiting for non-pilot positions. So don't assume pilot is the only option into drones.
Joe, we just had another technical issue where my camera froze. Is it bad that I'm such an interesting host that it took me at least 20 seconds to notice my own camera froze? Does that say something? I think I should dance around a little bit more.
I think you should.
Yeah, all right, thanks. Steady you. We've already had trouble from you tonight.
I'm
Thank
still
you very
on probation.
much. Yeah,
This is
exactly.
probation. Exactly.
Oh, probation. Remember those days.
But, I was just going to say, Andrew, that's interesting, because I always thought you had to be a drone pilot to fly a drone.
You do to fly one, but there's a whole ecosystem around them. So like when we're flying, like today we have 3 crew out doing something in Manchester for surveys, and and we've got different numbers of crew depending on the task. So it doesn't. Drone pilots are a primary part of the operation, but you can also have camera operators, you have spotters and different things. So they all play their part, because it can be hard to fly in complex areas like central London and on closer distances. So yeah, no, it's the route to pilot might be through one of those positions like camera operator or spotter.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people just ignore those as sort of irrelevant, but actually you can cut your teeth in those without having the expense of buying a drone or the qualifications. And then decide after you've done that for a few times, if you want to go down the pilot route or not, or even if you're unsure about what you want to do with drones, it may help you understand what you want to do with drones by working for someone who does, because like there's surveying companies, there's loads of them that advertise all the time for flight crew and things.
Exactly.
Qualified.
And,
So,
there's going to be more and more, isn't there? There's going to be more and more jobs opening up as the commercial side of the drone world opens up. There's going to be a lot more different types of jobs that you can do with the drone, as you're saying with the with crowded space drones and the video we made a couple of weeks ago talking about the sort of counter drone work as well. There's all sorts of different areas. You don't just have to go out, buy a Mini 2 or a Mavic 2 Pro or a Matrice or something and fly that drone for work. You can work in the drone industry through different ways as well, actually. So if you're interested in the drone industry, that's something you can do.
Long term as well, you need to look at, for example, say you want Amazon are going to need a lot of drone pilots, because once they get approved for deliveries in the UK, you need to look at companies like that and see how do they recruit, when are they recruiting, because they're probably going to recruit for pilots at some point, and you may want to just be aware of those application routes they offer for most jobs, because that's going to be the sort of shift, I think, is when the big boys, if you like, industry-wise, start to need pilots because they could need a lot of pilots quickly.
Yes.
And then it could be a bit of a suction effect to fill jobs in the industry. So we're on the cusp of something great in terms of drone jobs, and because they also like them because they're green and all this sort of thing. And I was watching that's really boring, but I was watching one of those election party broadcasts earlier.
Oh yes.
And the party in question, we're going to create all these millions of green jobs in the UK. Well, if they get into power and after the next election for local elections, then if they are creating green jobs, drone pilot jobs are green jobs because of the nature it's replacing diesel vehicles
absolutely,
on the road.
Absolutely.
So, there's lots of potential there, but also as well, I've become more aware recently of a lot of like big infrastructure sites or like power stations, different things like that. They're all turning to drones a lot more themselves. They're not hiring pilots, they're upskilling existing staff typically to fly them. That's for inspections through to things like security and various other things. So there's lots of large open sites or country estates and things like that are hiring security with drone experience and different things like that. So it's just really, if you're already in security, for example, I would say, well, you have a specialism in security, therefore add a drone capability to that, and therefore you might get more different jobs in flying permanently.
Yes.
But, don't assume you're going to jump from flying for survey flights to flying for, high-end TV productions. It's not a relatable switch. The drone's the only commonality. It doesn't mean the pilot's common between most things.
Okay, interesting. So if someone is looking to start something in 2021, then it is also an option to perhaps not even start that company necessarily, but actually go out and get some experience within the drone industry first as well. To that could help you find the niche as well.
Well, so whenever I started in a Phantom 3 because that seemed like the sensible thing to do at the time. How many flights do you think I did in that Phantom 3 commercial flights before I had to buy an Inspire 1 Pro?
Not many.
6.
Yeah, I was going to say you would have had to have stepped up pretty quickly.
And it's the same now. We were talking earlier about there's lots of drones coming out all the time and things like that. So I think unless you are competent to decide what drone you need for your niche, you're potentially going to waste money when you start, because you do.
Of course.
We've wasted money on things that have been sort of my pet projects or things that I thought might be big or haven't been and things like that. So, I think that if you could work for someone on whatever basis, then, it's going to be, you'll be able to make a more informed choice about what you want to do within drones.
Exactly. And one thing actually that GMI Visuals is saying as well is that surely step one for someone wanting to start a business as a self-employed person, obviously it's a one-man band, needs to be a competent pilot. And of course that is certainly very important.
I mean, but one man's competency is another man's lack of competency.
Yeah.
It's competent for the niche you want to fly in. If you want to do nice big cinematic TV aerials, you need that skill. That's not what surveying requires.
No, indeed,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, thank you, Philip Koshat, for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate it, sir. Great to see you. One of our channel members. A great subject. He got a call from Aquiline Drone yesterday. Sounds promising, but still more research involved. And I'm hearing that a lot from the viewers that I chat to off air. That people are starting to see different job opportunities open up and different things happening, and often it's not necessarily in a direction that they would have personally thought was going to happen. So, as you say, it's going to be a very interesting few years in the drone industry in those terms. Moving on slightly to what I call micro work. Okay, so this is very much self-employed. I already own something like a Mini 2 or an Air 2 or maybe a Mavic 2 Pro, and I want to go out and start approaching companies and start thinking about doing some work. It's obviously potentially going to be on the on the side of things, as a side gig rather than your main job, certainly initially as well. Where do you see, if any kind of gaps that and any kind of uses that things like the smaller consumer drones could have as far as earning money? Do you see any use in them?
Yeah, I mean, we're using Mini 2s, and Mini 2s are perfect for commercial use for some purposes. I've seen lots of posts on social media where people were looking for a Mini 2 pilot to do a roof survey of a challenging urban area because it's legal now.
Yes.
The open category is perfect for that sort of not too much cost but able to fly. So I think the open category, I mean, is definitely what we needed to spur on and sort of innovate and grow. I really like the new 3 categories. I think the implementation period is a bit messy. I would rather have just gone cold turkey in, personally, but not everything was ready, obviously, to do that. The open carry is brilliant for that. I mean, you know, you can do things.
Yeah, because I mean,
as a hobbyist.
if you've got a Mini 2, and of course you've got the appropriate commercial insurance, there is now, because there is zero separation. So the things that have changed, Emily, is that there's a very small, very popular drone. I should have brought my. Actually, I've got one of them in a case over there, but it's the other side of my camera. I'm not going to kick leads out of my camera going to get it, because all you'll hear is me walk away and a huge thud as I hit the floor and. Oh,
there's still 2 of us left.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Carry on. I can hear you. And basically, they're very small drones that can fit in the palm of your hand. They're under 250 grams, but they have a 4K camera on them. And they've just changed the rules that actually you can now fly those with no separation from other people. So I could actually be in the park where you're relaxing, Emily, with your family, and I could take off right next to you, as long as it's safe. You still have to assess the safety of things. So it means that the commercial use of those tiny drones perhaps opens up, because once you get to something larger, like the DJI FPV drone sized type drones, so the Air 2s and those type of things, you need special certificates to get much closer. So it opens up a whole new world of potential work for people. So really, you're talking about things like, obviously there's the old one of a state agency, which I know that we covered in one of our early interviews with Andrew, where in actual fact, the estate agency side of things is quite messy. And one of the issues you've now got with the Mini 2 is actually a lot of estate agencies are actually buying those drones, gaining a bit of training for their in-house staff, and then they're sharing drones within certain numbers of offices. So actually, the new rules and things like the Mini 2 have taken away some of those. I've been contacted by so many roofers and building construction people that are taking over the surveying side of things themselves as well, being able to check out things, whereas they would normally call someone in to check out the roof of a tall building, etc. They'll now do it themselves. They'll buy the drone and do it themselves. So there are angles that I think some people might have actually thought were going to be very easy and open to them as far as earning money, which have actually almost started to dry up from the point of view that people will do it themselves. But and GMI Visuals as well was talking about whether or not you should build a website, a portfolio, as far as the step one is concerned. And I would actually swap that round to a certain extent, and I would look at what's out there, look at as far as what people are looking for, start mentioning it in groups that you're looking for work locally, what type of thing that people are looking for, and actually you can then find that the type of work leads you along a certain path. Whereas you could set up a big website, Sean's photography business or Sean's aerial photography.com, and I must go and reserve that one. Actually, you then find out that actually the work that you get is actually construction companies wanting you to do photos every 3 weeks to show how the site is developing, etc.
You make an interesting point about the name, because I would say we have a relatively well-known brand in crowded space drones at the moment. The problem is a lot of the clients who want ground-based video work see our name and go, I don't want a drone, I want ground video.
Yes.
So that's why we had to create a sub-brand of CSD Productions, which sounds more ground-based. And because some people just go, I don't want a drone, I want a video camera on the ground sort of thing, or like an outside broadcast, which we do. So the name is not as universal as it could be for us. We're not going to change things. I like the name, but I think one of the hardest things to do now, and the name works really well for our niche of flying in crowded places. That's what our niche is, so that it works really well for that. But one of the worst things to do at the moment to start a business, the biggest hurdle actually for starting a drone business, is the name, because there's lots of names out there already. I mean, there's 4,000. There's been 12,000 names in the UK, roughly, on the CA list of people who have previously or currently hold a permission. the key thing is you need to get a name which also is available for social media accounts and is available for a website. Do not be worried about changing your name to match. It's actually more important, in my opinion, nowadays to get the social media and the websites to match up and be sort of recognizable to an extent.
Yes.
Than it is actually to get a name on a
.com
or whatever.
That is actually what I did with the channel. With my channel, actually, Geeksvana is actually a made-up word, but at least I know I had the Twitter account, the Insta account, the YouTube account, the websites, and then of course once I start to get that name out there, people have then heard of it. I mean, Geeksvana does have some meaning behind it, but at least then it's it becomes a recognizable brand itself. It's the same as Orange, isn't it? You look at Orange, you know, before that, you know, you would have thought, well, Orange, that's a piece of fruit, but now we do think of a mobile telephone company.
But it's the same with those, you know, the typical taglines, you know, like just do it is Nike.
Yeah.
You know, I'm loving it, McDonald's. So it's a similar principle that if you can get something like that and get it ingrained in people, that they'll know it.
Yeah.
There are certain drone companies in the UK, like on a survey inspection basis, Cyberhawk is one of the sort of most known ones. Yes, they're one of the early adopters, but they're really well known. Another one is like Skyports and things. That's a really good name. But I mean, there's loads of names still available.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think you need to necessarily tie the name down to anything, as you're saying, drone related or anything else like that.
It doesn't need to have the word drone in it. It doesn't need to have aerial in it. There's that many companies out there with drones or aerial in it. It does not matter.
Yes.
And as I said, my example about the ground-based stuff, if you're ever going to do ground-based stuff or anything that's not drone related, obviously some people who are doing surveying work and that's all they like. There's a company, Simon Strickland, who we've mentioned the stream before. I think he works for a company called Deal Survey and things. So like their name does what it says in the tin. That's how all my company names are quite self-explanatory.
Yeah. which obviously if you have that niche, then of course there is an advantage to that as well. But I do tend to find whenever I've been in the position of needing to start a business or anything, then the more generic side, not generic, but something catchy that people will remember that's unusual, something like Geeksvana, I think it's quite unusual. But then it's something that you can build the brand on. But then I'm not restricted. So if in 10 years' time my channel's still going and I'm actually doing, I don't know, aviation gin specialist, you know, which gin to drink, then you know it's the Geeksvana gin channel. You know, it has that adaptability, and I think you have to have that adaptability. One top tip as well that a lot of people who run drone businesses internationally will always say to me is try to make the drone use a function of what you do, which is what's always impressed me about crowded space drones, actually, because it very much is a function of what you do. People will call you in, and it isn't just because you're going to fly a drone for them necessarily. There'll be other functions that you're carrying out in that same area. So try to think of that as well. I've had a couple of people recently, actually, who have done very well, actually doing things like bizarre things, like approaching car dealerships, where you know these kind of views, etc., weren't really something which was affordable before, but actually now when you park a high value sports car, get insurance, and you're able to take some more sort of swooping shots and going over the top of it and that type of thing. They're actually very, very popular with some of these specialized independent car dealerships. So you also try and think out of the box from the point of view that you don't have to be doing something that's 400 feet in the air or something like that and looking down at ants. You know, it can be something which is much closer up.
Well, they've said in the chat, FPV is very much the sort of
top
thing at the moment, top property.
Cinematic FPV, yeah.
We've already got existing clients. We've been booked to do a very large sports tournament to get us to do FPV around the stadiums. And we're doing several music festivals. We're going to be flying through fireworks and stuff in the front of stage. So obviously done safely. Don't just fly through fireworks with your drone. Obviously do it when it's safe to do so. You don't explode. You make your drone into a firework shell. But no, I think that
unless you do. But no, sorry.
Well, in a controlled, safe environment.
Yeah.
Don't do this at home, kids. But you know, I think it's a case of you need things to get. If you can fly FPV well, yes, do some footage of that. That's the perfect example there where you borrow a car, get them to drive it so you don't even need insurance, and then just fly FPV around it as it's going through some nice countryside type thing where it's all safe and legal to do so. That's more than within the realms of possibility. I think the biggest problem you will find when you want to build a show reel is if you don't, well, two things really. The first thing is having a crew because you'll forget how hard it is to do everything by yourself. So at least like team up with some other people, because if you team up and three of you, between the three of you, you fly it and get the footage and all that, and together and you all agree to share the footage. If you're quite frankly, if you're going to split and go between different clients and not go to the same client, no one's going to twig that it's part of a crew. And you're like, when we share our footage, it's a combination effort from all our teams. So it's not. Don't view it as a personal thing; it's a business thing. So feel free to collaborate for your show reels. No one's saying you don't, because if we fly for a TV show, we're not saying we've made the entire TV show. We've just done a bit of it. We're still using the TV show footage in our show reel for the relevant bits and things, because you're involved in that. We're BAFTA nominated for our TV show work, but it was collective effort. So I think the second part of that is editing. So as I said, you may not, a lot of people can fly but don't have editing skills or knowledge and how to make that look really, really good, really sort of sexy, if you like, from a showreel perspective. So maybe you team up with just an editor who wants to show their editing skills off.
Exactly.
So I do not work in silos is the key message. People are willing to collaborate.
Yeah, exactly, and that is very, very important. People will work with you. They will, because of course they want to move forward themselves as well. So yeah, that's a very, very good point to make. Is your hotel sinking?
Does look a little bit like he's sinking, doesn't it?
You wanted to say it, didn't you, Emily? Hence the laughter.
And actually, people were really interested to know if you was in a travel lodge or a Premier Inn earlier.
Oh,
really? I am in a wonderful travel lodge. I got kicked out of my other travel lodge, not for anything I did, I don't think.
You sure?
But I think they were happy to have me stay. I've stayed there before, but I'm in an older travel lodge with fantastic lighting.
I know, and can I just say, there's like a weird print above the bed there with like a big.
It looks like an out of focus shot of a blue luminous Christmas tree with a red bauble.
It looks like a comet coming into land or something from this angle, doesn't it? Like an apocalyptic scene.
It's definitely a red bauble.
There you go. I think it's official that Emily is definitely weird enough for Geeksvana, so that's always a good sign.
Okay, is it nailed to the wall?
Oh,
yes, it is.
Oh, is that that's the test of a hotel, isn't it?
That is the test.
Yeah, whether or not you're in a hotel which is high value enough. But I would also just like to say for your colleague, Emily, Andrew has another colleague also called Andrew. His name is Andrew. His name is Andrew Hamilton.
We have a lot of Andrews working here.
Yeah,
right.
And he is the former drone boss from the CAA who now works for them, and he helps us on collaborations.
Yes, I read about that earlier.
Indeed.
And when you said someone called Andrew, I was like, "Who's that then?" And then, but
she's disappointed. She's disappointed that she got the wrong Andrew.
But
I thought that was you. No, I knew it wasn't you.
Cool.
It's funny actually. I heard somebody today for years of the show. Everyone knows Andrew Hamilton has an English accent, and I turned up somewhere today and went, "Oh, with that accent, you must be Andrew Hamilton." And I'm like,
what?
Do I sound Cornish or Londonish or
Sounds like a bit of an accusation. Just very quickly before we move on, just want to mention one of our show sponsors tonight. Which is moonrockinsurance.com, especially as we're talking about the commercial side of things. If you need a quote, or if you don't, just go get a quote, frankly, find out the things they have on to offer. We've also just released 2 videos with them recently. One was an interview with Simon Ritterband on the business of drones, as it were, but also a Drone Insurance 101 video, which is out there the last couple of days, which is it's a really good watch. It'll explain to you what you need and what your options are from hobbyist all the way through to a commercial flyer. So check that out and get a quote at moonrockinsurance.com.
Can I quickly reply to Johnny Mac?
You can.
So, what's the worst surface in your hotel room?
You don't do a black light test.
No, but my friend from America who works in a lot of stadiums, he pointed this out to me because he's a bit of a clean freak by his own admission.
Okay.
The TV remote controller.
Of course.
Oh.
He actually brings his own universal one with him, so he doesn't have to use it. But I don't usually. I use something else like a towel to touch it usually, because the TV remote controllers, the one thing they don't look like they cleaned them.
Do you know what? I've never thought about that, and I'm quite a clean freak. I've never
I've
thought about the
yeah,
remote.
I'm not good
Oh,
because my other half is former cabin crew, so she always goes in and there's things that she's very experienced in hotel rooms.
oh
That
gosh.
came out wrong,
Hope,
didn't it?
hopefully,
That did a little bit.
Okay.
hopefully,
She's
hopefully,
stayed in a lot of hotel rooms. No, it's not getting any better, is it? Okay. So
No.
the first thing she does is actually remove that quilt from the bottom and like with a almost with tongs and throws it in the wardrobe. And there's certain things she does, but I've never thought of the remote control either, actually, and that's
No.
grossed me out a little bit.
there's actually, you can get washable ones now. So some hotels, especially in America, now have washable ones, so they can just like wash it literally.
Perhaps they will. Now COVID, perhaps this will be something we get in travel lodges.
Well, not so far. We've had COVID for a while now.
Stick with the anti-bac then.
Yeah.
Plenty of anti-bac.
Adrian Shipper's drone field has just said, Sean, you're dead. I agree with you, although she's a very busy lady and Joanne doesn't watch many of the shows, fortunately.
I was going to ask that, Sean. Does your other half partake in any?
We actually have a bit of a thing between us. That her mother is actually a really big fan of the show. Hi, Janice. When you're watching, she doesn't catch them live, but she knows every single video. And whenever we Skype with them, as is the thing these days, she'll always bring up, "Oh, in your last video, this happened, and that was very interesting." And Joanne just sits there, blank face, not knowing what we're talking about, because she has a very busy job. But I do wind her up that her mother knows more about the channel. I mean, hey, as part of obviously our household, she helps finance all of this kind of thing as well. So she's at the important end for it, frankly. Yeah, indeed. And Blue Collar Hero says, side note, the ATM keypads and credit card keypads are repulsive for the same reason.
Yeah, they
But
are.
if you're like me, you forget about that because you're too busy covering up any potential cameras hidden above it.
Yeah, you're not even thinking about the germs. Ooh. That's scary.
And then I love there was because of COVID, everyone's getting more sense about that. We're really sidetracking here. Somebody had put a plastic cover over the keypad.
Oh wow!
But everyone's touching that, so what's the point?
Yeah. Because it's the same as people that wear gloves all the time, isn't it? Or they put gloves on and go into somewhere. Yeah. Well, all you're doing is spreading that stuff from contact. But anyway, this isn't.
We digress.
This isn't the cleanliness channel yet.
Clean your drone controllers.
Yes, indeed. Although there should only be one person using that most of the time. Yes, and Joanne has flown a drone or two, but she's not into the hobby or anything else like that. She's more of a great. It's a new drone to get Sean out of the house. Which I'm being very unfair to her, but
I don't think you give her the opportunity to fly as much as she maybe should, because I think you're worried she might be better than you.
Oh, I don't mind about that. I am not competitive with the lovely Joanne, but yes, right.
We've been asked to get back on point. Please.
Have we?
Yes.
Oh.
What was the point again?
Yeah.
What was the point? Oh, Geeks Cleaner. That's a good name.
Geeks
Sorry.
Cleaner. It is, isn't it? That's fantastic, Gregory. Well done.
Yeah. Don't be in bot.
So yes. So really, one of the things I would recommend if you want to work with drones is almost as well, and this is something that I've thought often, is actually create a niche, create a need. So look at where the drones that you own and the qualifications you hold and the insurance you can afford, look at where those can be used and go out and sell that need to people. And you don't necessarily need to begin with a huge website. I think one of the guys that I told you, I was mentioning that works for a few independent car dealers now, he just approached a couple of his local car dealers and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm going to get the insurance. Do you want me to run a few and see what you like? And it picked up from there. That won't happen for everybody. He now has a successful little business from that. That won't happen for everybody, but and you may go through a few ideas until you find something. But there's definitely going to be niches and work out there which you can find with your drone.
Can I point out an example of when that's happened in the UK?
Yes, please.
So there's a company called iPreserve.
Yes.
And they came from an insurance background, not drone background, and wanted to use drones in insurance claims to assess risk or loss and things. And they got together with a few other sort of insurance industry backers and created iPreserve, who then contract in pilots to go and do those inspections around the UK or for losses. And that's a perfect niche of where the people who involved in that company, who we know a little bit, they didn't set out to create a drone business initially. They just saw the niche and were able to move into it. They don't actually really, up until recently, fly any drones as an organization themselves. They contract the work out. So, you know, if you could see gaps like that, there's another company which, well, there's another company, I'm not going to name them, but they are essentially a telecoms company, but they front as something else that allows people to book drone services.
Okay.
And they charge drone pilots for this. They're clearly making some money out of it, but they're nothing to do with drones.
Yeah, indeed, and there is that whole ecosystem building up around it, isn't there? Basically, which is really interesting. But just remember, have a look at the Drone Insurance 101 video on the channel, because it will explain to you the different levels of insurance that you will need. And remember that insurance, rather than permission to work with your drone, it's the insurance side of things which is more the focus these days, which is very, very important. Sorry, you about to say something, Andrew? No? You sure? Okay. Awkward silence. Thank you very much. Should we have some more?
I was just reading the chat.
So was I actually. I got quite engrossed by it. Sorry, and I was listening to you, Sean, but I was just looking at a couple of comments that had come through.
Blue Collar Hero. I've actually flown in aircraft factories as well. Well, they're a little bit fire damaged when I flew there, not because of the flight, but they're talking about large scale buildings. Definitely using drones, because we're doing lots of that sort of work, especially tank inspections. The Elios 2 is an amazing cage drone, and that's anyone who's Elios 2 in the UK seem to be getting a lot of work.
Yes, and there is an Elios 2 video on Geeksvana, which is where they were used in the reactor. I want to say reactor 4 in Chernobyl, to go in and inspect the reactor to see if there are any spent fuel rods still in there. And they use this amazing drone. So it's a drone inside this little ball, essentially, Emily, where you're actually
it's sponge like, it absorbs impacts.
So it's actually able to fly into things and carry on flying. So they're able to send this drone into one of the Chernobyl reactors, which of course they wouldn't want to send people into, and inspect things to see if there was any fuel rods still in there and that type of thing, and find out information that they didn't have. And it's one of the really good uses for drones.
And it's a really fantastic drone for what it is. It's expensive, but normally when you're mapping or like creating a model of a structure with a drone, you need GPS, because that's how it works out where the photographs are. So it can build a 3D model of a building and things like that. The Elios drone has software that where there's no GPS, like a sewer or something, it can completely model the sewer accurately.
Yes.
I mean, that's really cutting edge technology. It's really
no, indeed. And it's things like doing the large tanks and things, isn't it? Because obviously sending a couple of guys into these sort of large either water or oil tanks, etc., fuel tanks, can take a long time. And of course, you've got the human eye, which isn't going to spot every kind of problem.
And the problem is, if you send a human in, you have to empty it completely and defume it and all that sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Not so much with the drone.
No, exactly.
Can I just ask a question? So
no.
Obviously, I'm new to that. I'm getting business ideas now. I'm like, I want to learn to fly. I want to become a drone flyer. But say you are like in security.
Yeah.
How long would it take you then, if you wanted to kind of up your game and specialize in using drones? How long would it take someone?
As a pilot, you could do that in a day, depending on the type of drone you're flying. So you've got two routes really as a pilot. You've got the A2 CFC, which essentially is a day-long course. That's it. You've then got if you're using a bigger drone, or so the more typical security drones, that's going to be a 2-day course plus a practical flight test. So it's but so then you've got the separate responsibilities of, do you need a permission for the CEA if you're in one of these with the larger drones? Do you have to write a manual to cover that and things like that? So it used to be a lot more simple to answer that question in the old structure, because you said, yes, you need this course, it's X pounds, it's X days. Now it is broken down, so you only have to do as much as you need, which is good, but it just means you're having to sort of more like, what drone is it, where you're going to fly it, you have to ask more questions nowadays.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually just getting the video up of the Chernobyl, which I'm actually going to play out very quickly, which I think is an interesting one to show people. Here we go. By the This sounds like a mission for the.
There's the drone.
So here is the drone, Emily, and that's actually the. Oh, skip the intro here, shall we?
It's got floodlights and everything in it, so it can self-light the area. It's
Who's
brilliant.
that guy? So yes, and this is the flight that they took into the Chernobyl reactor. But yes, as Andrew's saying, it's got all sorts of lighting systems on it, etc., and that type of thing. And
so it can bump into anything you see on screen. It can bump into, and it will not affect it at all.
Wow.
Oh, which way we're going in? We're going in this way. It looks so eerie, doesn't it?
yeah, it's the dust and everything coming up, which I found quite freaky, and the general atmosphere. I'm fascinated by the Chernobyl thing actually, which is why I wanted to.
The thing is, there's like quite a few places like for drains you can go and get your drone back. You can't really get it if it fails. You're really stressed out as a pilot, because if it fails in Chernobyl, you're not really going to go in to get it back.
That's right, exactly. There were questions as well about whether or not the drone was usable afterwards and that type of thing. But of course, I don't think this particular reactor is particularly high on the scale.
But I think, I know when Top Gear went there before and things, or was it when they Grand Tour at that point? I can't remember. But I know everyone who takes equipment there has to really go through a whole testing regime to see if it's safe to travel and
That's
stuff.
right. That's right.
It's not somewhere you can fly lightly.
But this, if I fast forward to here, this is the actual drone itself from Flyability. So you can see there it actually sits within the cage. It actually uses a lot of parts from Autel, doesn't it? The camera and bits and pieces like that, people will recognize from there. But as you can see, it sits within this little frame, which is very clever, I think.
It's a DJ. One of the DJI key people were tweeting about it the other day.
Oh wow, really?
Because somebody announced that some manufacturing plant saved $1 million over a human inspection by using this drone.
Wow. I mean, it is tried and trusted, and it's one of the first of this type that I've seen that's really taken off, that a lot of people are actually using.
It's only like 40 grand to get it.
Yes, yes. I think the one on screen was 52,000 to purchase. Ooh. So it's a lot of money, but as you say, it saves so much.
Yeah, it can self hover and everything. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, it can even change the direction that the props spin. To help it control itself when it's resting against walls and that type of thing. But of course, you can imagine, Emily, the amount of time it would take sending a team of people in to do this.
You would have to potentially build scaffolding up there.
Yes,
It's you forget how complicated it is. So, for example, railway bridges and the railway infrastructure in the UK has to be, I think it's a 3-year cycle they use, where 2 years could be visual inspection, but the 3rd year has to be a physical touching inspection. So 2 out of those 3 years, they don't have to put scaffolding up. They can use drones. And that's why Network Rail have a massive commitment to using drones nationally.
And this isn't something which is taking jobs away from anybody or anything else like that, because of course, as it showed later in the video actually, but there are crews of people running this, and then of course there are the same engineers that would have gone in to assess things are actually sat in the office with the big screens with looking at things that the drone has spotted and going in more closely and that type of thing. So the expertise is still there.
Do you remember there was a train crash recently? I think it was in the winter there, up near Aberdeen direction, I want to say. Or
yes.
Remember that one? Yeah. The report came out recently, and it said that nationally, Network Rail are nowhere near using enough drone inspection on railway lines. So I imagine on the back of that report, they're going to increase their amount of drone, and they also mentioned helicopter inspections of railway lines, because that was I believe that said it was a contributing factor. So that means there's going to be if they fund new drone inspections, they're going to need more pilots to do that.
Yes,
those are jobs that did not exist previously.
Exactly.
Really,
yeah, exactly.
That people are going to have to get. So I think there's lots of potential out there for new jobs. I mean, even you could join the police or the emergency services and become a drone pilot within that. So it's just there's so many ways in.
There's a lot of careers, exactly. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next part of our show, and we're going to be talking about how Andrew's going to be embarrassing Sean, which will come up. But first of all, as we move into this part, I just want to mention our other show sponsor, Drone Masterclass, which of course Andrew is part of. And as I was saying earlier, if you're looking for your UK drone training needs, then visit dronemasterclass.co.uk. There is a link in the description. And I'm going to be taking one of their courses, and I'm going to be taking you, the audience, with me on a video series where we're actually going to be essentially chronicling everything that I do. So you're going to get to see the theory. You're going to get to see the sort of one-on-one video chats that they have with instructors, which is excellent. And we're even going to be live streaming my flight exam.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
brave.
you'll be able to find out live whether or not I pass my flight exam.
What are you going to fly?
I think my Inspire 1.
Okay.
Because I bought it, and this is a very big drone with legs lift up and everything else like that, and it's an awesome piece of kit, and it's completely outdated these days. But I have purchased one just because I want to own one, basically. So I'll use that for it. Now we're going to, as I said, there's going to be a series of videos on this. The introduction to that is actually out tomorrow, so we're going to be getting on with this very soon. And I think I'm going to be doing my flight test around the end of April, aren't I?
Yes.
Yes. So that is going to be, as I say, that is going to be live streamed. Never will there be more a time where I hope for technical difficulties for live streaming not to be able to happen.
No, we obviously you can't live stream whilst, flying the drone on the test. So don't worry, we'll make sure you've got some help there for that.
I was hoping to be able to get out of it that way, but that's fine.
This could be a first in general for flight tests for the CEA. And
yes, but perhaps it could be for a good reason, though. We might find out during the live stream there was a good reason why you don't live stream them, apart from my tears afterwards, of course. But there we go.
I mean, just make sure you're practicing and your flight hours are up.
Yes, no, indeed, yes, and I am out there practicing. I need to get more practice with the Inspire actually. In the different flight modes so that I'm fully ready, because of course what I don't want to do is crash on my flight exam.
How's your ADI mode?
It's decent actually.
Okay.
Not yet with the Inspire, but it's decent. But I think I'm more afraid of crashing it because it's my little precious.
I mean,
it's my precious.
If you start your ADI mode training at 400 feet and just make sure you can hover at one location, that's the best way to start.
Yes. Would you like to explain to Emily and anybody else that's watching that doesn't know what ATI mode is, the difference between stabilized and ATI?
Well, it's sort of half to it. So in a normal, what DJI call P mode for that aircraft, in normal mode, you've got basically GPS so that it gets your position, hovers you exactly there at the altitude you want. So if you let go of the controls, it stays there. In ATI mode, you lose GPS, but you keep the altitude. So if the wind is pushing this way, you're going that way with it. The drone's going to move that way. So you have to push the stick in the opposite direction to keep it stabilized.
So it's essentially with these DJI aircraft, especially the camera drones, when you let go of the sticks and it's flying along, you let go, it will just go and it will stop. And because it's got, hopefully something like 18 satellites watching it, it's got a very, very secure position. It knows exactly where it is. It's also got down-facing sensors, which are telling it where the ground is. So it will stick to its position. And DJI are a great manufacturer that they've really got the stabilized mode down really well. But as Andrew's saying, in ATI mode, which there's lots of reasons why you'd want to fly in that, especially for commercial reasons. There isn't so much the limitation. So although it will still altitude hold, it will drift. So you do have to keep an eye on it, and it is a little bit more of a job to do.
The key thing says if you're doing your driving test in the UK, you're asked to perform emergency procedures like an emergency stop. Mm-hmm. It's the same principle for this. So we want you to. Oh God, it's turn it on.
Sorry, I have to do requests. One of the things about this new drone is that it makes a very intimidating noise when it starts up, and Johnny DRC has just asked me to turn it on, so I now have to do that. So here we go. Let me get there. Oh.
Oh.
Yes, we call it the transformer, and it has all like little flashy lights and things. Yes.
But yeah, so ATI mode, being able to fly in ATI mode is essentially sort of equivalent to doing an emergency stop for a drone, whereby you want to be able to be competent to fly in ATI mode. So if your drone loses GPS, you can still fly it.
Yes.
Right.
You can basically still bring that thing back, whereas under normal GPS situations, if my drone was in a situation I wasn't happy, there's a big button on the remote called return to home, and you hit that and it actually automatically brings itself back. You don't have to do anything and it will come back and land exactly where it took off from. But yeah, but to be able to hold
Well,
the GVC, you need to be able to fly in ATI mode. So
the best analogy, actually, I'm thinking about this now. The best analogy is, with modern cars like a Tesla, Teslas can like self-drive.
yes,
So would you want to drive a Tesla self-driving car and not know how to fly it when it doesn't self-drive?
yeah, I'd rather drive it than fly it. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So that's the same principle. You wouldn't jump in a Tesla without knowing how to drive,
No.
just rely on the self-driving capability to do it itself. Because if it goes wrong, yeah, it's not going to go well.
No. Well, Sean, there's a lot of people that are very excited about this live stream. There's a lot of comments going. I'm going to be tuning in.
It's a great idea, isn't it? It's a great idea.
Brilliant idea.
But and it's one of those ones. So as a YouTuber, I think, okay, yeah, that'll be great. People will want to watch that. It'll also be good as well because it will genuinely be showing people what's happening on the course and that type of thing, and showing them all the way through to the end. But then, of course, there's the other side of it that I'm just very worried about crashing live on.
And Andrew Hamilton's going to be assessing you for that flight as well, so it's no pressure there.
So I'm flying live on YouTube for my flight assessment for my GVC, and the former drone boss of the CAA is assessing me.
And the police, don't forget the police.
Oh, the police as well.
So it's high risk for us. We don't want to give a false impression. If you are unable to make the standard, it is tough. It
is going to be a genuinely good piece of live TV essentially, because it is going to show exactly what you do go through that day and exactly what's expected of you.
And that's just your emotional range.
Yeah,
going through.
That's right, exactly. But yeah, so for anybody that is interested in the GVC course as well, there'll be lots of plugs during my videos. Don't worry. But there's the dronemasterclass.co.uk. The link is in the description below. So thank you to Drone Masterclass and to moonrockinsurance.com for being the sponsor of the show, because you're helping all of this happen, which is amazing, and I thank you deeply for that. So there we are. We are towards the end of our first commercial drone show. How do you feel, Emily?
Do you know, it's made me want to now go and learn how to fly a drone.
Excellent. So we need to send you one then, don't we?
Oh yeah.
I think we should.
I don't mind doing a live stream.
There you go.
I'll
So
just come and
so we can have the dual live stream. And what happens, okay, if you who've been flying by that point a month and I have been flying for years and I fail and you pass?
Oh, that would be great.
Does that mean I have to give you the channel?
Yeah.
The chair.
Yes, please. The chair. I'll take any of it.
You have to swap rooms, so she'll be in the studio next time. You be in her room.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds extremely dangerous to me.
Sean is allowed to have a safety spotter with him on his test. Just saying.
Hey, I'll be your safety spotter.
Thank you, Emily.
As long as I get to where the hive is.
But the fact that you've already in your.
I thought you were going to say as long as you get aviation gin.
No, and I was actually going to say, Sean, I'll take your spot, obviously, and your channel, but also some aviation gin would be nice.
Okay, well, we'll get you a drone and some aviation gin very soon.
But don't drink and fly.
But
No, I won't drink and fly.
But the fact that you tore me apart over my age, can I really trust you to have my back during a flight exam?
I got your age.
And you were shocked. I'm sorry. I can play it back right now if you like. You were shocked when I said yes, I was 44.
I was going to go. I actually originally was going to say late 30s.
You're still digging that hole.
I'm digging.
You're still digging that hole.
I'm just glad I've avoided this question.
I know. How did you get out of it? You probably know his age.
I don't actually. What do you know?
What did you think it was, Andrew, before?
40s.
Okay, that's not bad then. You're being polite now, aren't you? Because you know how quick I am to cry. I'm not ashamed.
To be drinking aviation gin.
Yeah, exactly.
Has Ryan Reynolds reached out yet to offer the sponsorship?
No, Ryan Reynolds has not reached out to sponsor the channel. He has bought a football club, a soccer club here in the UK, but he hasn't reached out to sponsor Geeksvana yet. I'm sure it will happen, especially next time all three of us get drunk on the show. But there we go. Excellent. Well, thank you, Emily, for joining us. I really appreciate it. We'll obviously see you on episode 2. And we've allowed Emily to bed in a little bit. You'll be seeing a little bit more of her in the upcoming shows. We'll also have someone on that is how do I put this politely? Andrew can talk. That's all I'll say. Live on air. So yes, I think you've done extremely well tonight to deal with us too. So thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, and we'll obviously see you again soon. And we are talking about, there is actually another show which we're talking about, which we're in development with, which will also feature Emily as well. So keep an eye out on the channel for that one as well. So, and thank you, Andrew, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Before we go and we're talking about ages, can we say happy birthday to someone?
Oh yes, is he in the chat still?
I want to say yes.
Okay, well, happy birthday to our other co-host, Stephen, of the Flyby Guys. Do you know, I didn't even think when he came in the chat earlier, I didn't even think actually he's come in on his birthday. But there was
shows his
very kind of
dedication.
thing. It does show his dedication. So yes, happy birthday, Stephen, if you are still watching.
So I think you should lead us in the course of happy birthday.
Okay, and thank you very much for watching the Commercial Drone Show episode 1. I really appreciate everybody that's come in. You're not going to get me singing live on air yet. Perhaps, well, after I've cried on my flight test, then I'll sing the following show after that. That's the deal. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I really genuinely appreciate you all coming in and spending so much time with us. The next episode of the Commercial Drone Show will be in about 4 weeks' time. And yeah, we'll be live again next Thursday, but we have our next video tomorrow, which is the GVC course introduction, and then a few other bits and pieces coming, including a £30, so what's that, $40, a hard case bag for your DJI FPV drone, which I'm really, really excited about filming, that particular one, which I'm filming tomorrow. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. See you next time on Geeksvana Live.
See you later, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Woohoo. Okay, where's the note to sack Emily?
Oh, let's